This is the AM show. Welcome back. Now, Strategic Mobilization Limited, SML, has refuted the findings of KPMG, at least some of them. But this brings to the fore our revenue assurance regime and value chain development and how they can be effectively used for the general good. So this morning, we have a conversation with a value chain governance expert on the back of the controversial SML GRA deal. And we'll be taking a look at that substantive matter. Joining us for this belt of the conversation, we have Professor Douglas Boating. He's a value chain governance expert. And we also have Dr. Kobina Arthur Kennedy, physician and political activist. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
All right. Doc, it's been a while since I spoke to you. I hope you're faring well.
I am well, and I hope you are well too. Good morning to your listeners and viewers.
I know you are well where you are. We could be better in Ghana, but we are still alive and kicking, so we thank God for that. Let me also check on Professor Douglas Boating. Prof, good morning.
Good morning, Benjamin. Good morning to your listeners and viewers.
It's a great
Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you.
It's a pleasure having you, Prof. Prof, just hold for me briefly.
There's one thing I need to say, Benjamin, before you continue.
Right.
Well done for your bland thoughts.
Thank you, Prof.
Every Friday, I listen to you carefully, and you really get some of us to have food for thought. Today's bland thought, which I'm going to send to my students, is we should all remember that tomorrow will be built from today. A very profound statement. Well done.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you so much. We do this for God and country. But Prof, just hold for me briefly. Let me take, for starters, the thoughts of Dr. Kobina Arthur Kennedy on this whole SML bit and governance-related issues. You know, per the report, the thinking was that, the contract should be annulled, truncated, and whatever was owed SML given to them. But that is not what the government's white paper revealed to us. Then again, the PPA arrangement, 3 times the GRA took this to the Public Procurement Authority. 3 times the PPA said no. They found a way of circumventing it, and then guess what happened? They subsumed it under West Blue, and then eventually West Blue was knocked off, and then SML came to the fore. How do you react to this entire situation that came up? Again, we must salute the Fourth Estate for bringing this out. What's your take on it?
Yeah, my take, and good morning to your viewers and listeners once again. My take is that it appears as if the government is trying to hide something. The fundamentals of this are very clear, like you said. The contract were awarded illegally, and regardless of what benefits have been accrued, it begs the question of why, regardless of official disapproval, people around the processes and awarded them the contract. Of course, a contract can be awarded improperly to somebody who might deliver some benefits when, for example, the terms of the contract were inimical to the public interest, the amount of reimbursement were inimical. And I think that the best thing that the government can do is actually release the KPMG's report so that the public can review that. And it will seem as if laws were by government officials who circumvented the process as well as the people who submitted it. And it will be interesting to know what relationships existed a priori between those who got the contract and those who awarded it. And part of the report that really, or the president's comments that really makes interesting reading is that after they got the thing illegally, after some time, they've gotten some experience. So I think that in the interest of transparency, the whole report should be released, and it will be helpful for Parliament that is supposed to do executive oversight to have appropriate, transparent hearings so that we know how this happened and how to avoid it in the future.
Interesting thoughts. Very interesting way to start off the conversation. Let me now go to Professor Douglas Boating. He's a value chain governance expert. Prof? Good morning
Yeah.
to you. I'd like to take your thoughts as well on this development.
Okay. Thank you very much. First of all, I'm going to talk to the audience from an industrial engineering and process monitoring and data capture perspective. I am an engineer, and I look at how to improve processes. I am not an employee of SML. My interest in SML is their product, which they've developed. And I'll give you some background. In terms of the contract, obviously, because I'm not an employee of SML, I can respectfully not comment until I have more detail. But in terms of the product, I have looked at it, and certainly it's of serious interest to me as a Pan-Africanist who has a Pan-Africanist agenda, taking products from one country on the continent to another. Let me give you some background. Back in 1991, I used to be in the chemical sector in the UK with one of the largest chemical and pharmaceutical companies in the world, in fact, the largest. And we tried to do process monitoring systems using similar technology. We tried it for 3 years, and we unfortunately failed miserably and wrote off $57 million in 1994. I never gave up that dream from an industrial engineer perspective and said one day the technology would develop. I relocated to South Africa and tried it there as well. It did work, but we could not have multi-site locational instant data capturing and monitoring systems. Now, let's go this thing forward, fast forward. In 2019, I met the founder of SML on one of my visits to GRA, and we're just having a chat about, the need for some of these things to be done. Then he said he has a solution, and I just laughed. I said, you don't have an idea as to what you want to do. It's a very complex process when it comes to data capturing in the chemical sector. So I just left it, and then obviously he did nothing. Then I bumped into again, and I was laughing at him. Basically said, well, have you managed to achieve your dream? And he said, yes. And I thought to myself, how? And he said, you have to come and see for yourself. It took me about 3-4 months because I was not believing. And one day I decided to go and see for myself. So I went there. He took me through it. I was quite surprised, but I was still very skeptical because of my experiences in the past. I was very, very skeptical. So I decided to monitor it for myself. And for the last 15 months, I have been closely following it. And then it dawned on me that hooray, the technology is now available for a dream which I had in 1991. So I decided to call my network of academics from MIT, from Oxford, Warwick, Stellenbosch, you name it. Most of these industrial and process engineering organizations. There is something very funny and exciting coming up for all of us. Now, once I did that, I also involved, I'm a professor at UMass. I also spoke to UMass about this technology. And he said, we have to. I recontacted the founder and basically told him that he's come on to something very big. And I asked him about how did he do it? How did he manage to convince us? And he said he took a risk. And I said, what risk? And he said, I was so confident in my product that I discussed with government a full risk-reward type of relationship. The government is losing money. The government basically is not even realizing what money they can bring in. And I was prepared to put all my assets on the block to go and do this. And if it works, the government should give me part of that money. And I thought that was a bold move. I knew of risk reward because I introduced it in South Africa. And today, a lot of South Africans have become multi-millionaires, those that are prepared to take risks.
Right.
Some have also, unfortunately, gone bankrupt. So, when he said I took full risk, then I started to explain, you know what the implication is? He told me and I said, you are a very bold man. But what is the government saying? He said, no. I'm not asking for even a petwa. What I am doing is generating the revenue for government, out of which they will pay me a percentage. I knew that. I'm sitting here, I'm not getting the revenue. I don't even know. We know what is happening with our gold. We know what is happening with our oil that comes in and then obviously ships out. We don't even know. Now, you don't have the money. You are not getting it. Somebody comes in and tells you, I am going to get you the money, but out of it, pay me some of it. Don't go and dig into your own pocket. I am going to generate that income for you, and then you pay me some of it. Is the government losing money? For me, technically, no, because the revenue wasn't there in the first place. And this is what I did in South Africa back in 1999, 2002 now with one of the big four, and I've created a lot of millionaires. We cannot keep doing the same thing and expecting the same result. My good old, very wise man who obviously gives me food for thought every Friday morning. This technology, for me, the interest is I want to even take it into other parts of Africa. I am not an employee, and I went out to even arrange visits for some of the top chief executives and policymakers on the continent to visit Ghana. Because for me, it's about made in Ghana. We developed the technology. It's a huge platform that allows for instant data capturing and also data monitoring. Now, there are issues with whether it's 2 billion or 14 billion. But the fact of the matter is this product does work. I see it as a product. I am helping a lot of Ghanaian organizations to obviously take their products into the rest of the continent. I see this new novel technology as one of them. These people were supposed to come to Ghana in March. And then, obviously, the report came out. And I decided, let me put it on hold, go to all my academic friends.
In March of which year?
This year, they were coming to Ghana. Some of the most powerful chief executives on the continent and government officials to go to the site to go and have a look. You know what I did when I realized that this technology is really a game changer? I encouraged them to invite all the media people in Ghana, which most of them did. I think it was last year.
Right.
And you can ask some of your own very good colleagues, journalists. They were there to have a look and said, Ghana could be the hub for this thing because the technology has developed. That was a dream I had in 1991. And it's now being realized by a Ghanaian who has put together a multiplicity of systems to help with instant data capturing and also monitoring, which has resulted in the revenues we don't know now being realized. Yes,
in terms of, sorry, Prof, sorry for interjecting. In terms of those revenues that we don't know, it's like I always use the example of the iPod. We're all using the Walkman and CD players and all of that until Apple came through with the iPod and people realized, oh, even when jogging and stuff, I could. Sometimes an entity will let you know of a need you didn't even realize you had. But in terms of revenues that we were not getting or didn't know we could get, right? You look at the tail of the tape and the question is being asked about whether SML really, whether you're looking at the MPA, whether you're looking at the GRA, whether what the systems in place already did not suffice and whether anything has been added. Now you realize that even KPMG's report disputes whatever claims that SML has made in terms of the generation of income for the country, out of which they are getting a percentage. The question is, what really has SML generated? Can you pinpoint that?
Well, in fact, what the summary from the presidency, from the KPMG report, I've not seen the details. I don't think any citizen have seen. Basically says that they generated over 2 billion for us, which means that something is being done. Something is happening. The NPAs and the other systems which we are talking about, if it was doing this job, there would not have been a need for this product.
But that is exactly where the devil is. Because some say that there were interests at play, that it's not from a disinterested. Uninterested, you don't care. Disinterested, you don't have any biases, you don't stand to benefit. That this deal was not from a disinterested point of view. And per reports we are getting, from that KPMG report, that also feeds into it, because what we are picking up, what we have shared with you, is that the suggestion is that this be discontinued. So you ask yourself, looking at the so-called sums being generated, which have been touted, versus what we are paying, does that give the nation value? For which reason we have to go on for the next 5 years, 10 years, where we are going to expend about $1+ billion. What do you say to that?
Okay. Let me go back again. Is the government spending 1 billion over 10 years, or is SML generating that 10 billion? Let's assume it's 10%. Generating that 10 billion and getting compensated for the risk they took. You see, our society, and Benjamin, you are one of the most respected, for me anyway, because of the critical nature and, the homework that you do before you comment on things. When you look at the way we've been operating as a country, because of the cake being so small, when there's a bit of success, people become very, very, very jittery and also want to be part of it. Now, in the case of this product, which I'm interested in, I've already declared, I'm interested in the product to take it outside Ghana, and I know it's going to do well. We as people, because of the corruption in our beloved country, have become very cynical that we don't even see something good. Now, I'm sitting here, I'm losing over 10 billion. I go to the IMF to borrow 1 billion. Somebody comes and says, I'm going to help you not to go to the IMF, but help us to generate the internal revenue, and out of it, pay me. Government is not paying any money. If they do not generate the income, they go down. It's their problem. We are not paying even a pesewa. So the idea that we are paying, government paying, no. We should reverse the mindset.
So, Prof, I completely get your point.
Yes.
It's like someone going to court on an issue and taking the best lawyer and an agreement that I'm not going to pay you up front, but if you win the case, then I give you X percentage. I mean, I get the point you're making. The concern of Ghanaians has to do with whether what the gains that the claim is made that we are making are actually being made. Now, if you look again at, and I'll go back to the report, the suggestion is that government should terminate the contract, that government should pay SML for services already completed, and that government should pay SML a return on investment equivalent to SML's investment. The very start of this was illegal. Circumvented Parliament, yes. And that is a crucial matter. We have systems in place, checks and balances, for a reason. Circumvented Parliament, circumvented the Public Procurement Authority. That raises a lot of red flags. But then, government has instituted an audit, and a top 4 audit firm has said, let go. I am still concerned about why we would continue with this. Why do you think? And then I'll go to Arthur Kennedy before I come to you for your final thoughts.
I fully agree with you with your concern. But what I'm saying is, at this point in time, let's all sit back and reflect. What could have been done right, as opposed to what has gone wrong? Let's be more pessimistic. The product has been developed and is working. Where did it go wrong? I cannot comment on whether they circumvented the PPA, assistance free laws, because I'll be very surprised if they did, and knowing GRA, if GRA would circumvent. But we have to sit back and say, how do we take this product? It's a Ghana-made product, international, because it is working. And how will it generate income for Ghana? Because this company has to pay taxes. And the more we sell this product, the more we will be able to generate. I am a perpetual optimist. I'm looking at the positive side. Manasseh has got us all educated about, this product. The revenue assurance index, Mr. Benjamin, right now is going at an unprecedented rate. It's over 5 billion and it's going to be 10 billion within 3 to 4 years. And it's because of the advancements in technology. During my time, these products went there. We were using what is called PLC, and it was a disaster. Hence, the 57 million was written off. Now, these small gadgets are working. It's very complex. You don't need a lot of people to manage it. And it's working. So how do we take this made in Ghana? Because Ghana can be monitoring the entire continent. Petroleum, upstream and downstream, from Ghana, Accra. The system is that robust. And any minister sitting in all the 55 AU countries can see the consumption of their petroleum products. I believe this thing will work in water, in gas, in mining. But government did not put a cent. The product owner is prepared to take the risk. If it works, fine. If it doesn't work, fine. Every year we hear the report, 4 billion of our gold. We don't know whether we've got it, whether it's true or not, because we don't have any data. Even when it comes to planning, every year we read the budget. I've been monitoring it for 30 years. When you look at some of the figures, I cry. Because the data is so out of date. We need to start having data, because that's the only way we can move forward and do tomorrow from today. I'm using your own words. We can't keep doing the same things and expect it. I'm not blaming where the big players are. All I'm saying is, let's look at the positive side of this product. It is working. The contractual issues and whatever, GRA and government can sit down and agree and move forward. But the product works. I have monitored it. I've sent it to most of my academic contacts and my business associates. That is why they were prepared to all come here. Some of the powerful people, I mentor some of them. Some of the revenues of these organizations are bigger than the GDP of Ghana, and they need to aside. And when I told them that they have to come to Ghana to see this product, they were very excited. And they were going to come in March, and I had to put it on hold because of the report.
Right.
There are positives from the report. There are very positives from the report about the product. There are also issues that we need to look at. All I'm saying is, as people, let's look at taking our own made in Ghana products international, because it will benefit us. It will generate income for Ghana.
There are. I'll go to Dr. Arthur Kennedy. When I come to you, Prof, just so you reflect on it before I come back to you for your final words. Nanake Ajaman says, we all support credible Ghanaian institutions, not a create and loot mechanism. Obviously, SML started on a very wrong footing. But he adds, please let Prof understand that SML is not generating any revenue. The claim is that they are checking under declaration and so forth. But they denied these assertions themselves in the Manasseh investigation. They deleted the assertion from their website. When I come to you for your final words, Prof, I'll take that. But let me come to Dr. Arthur Kennedy now, briefly. So, Doc, you've heard Prof on the matter. Basically, ab initio, even if things went wrong, he is saying if the system is working, let's do it. It is a Ghanaian system. It is homegrown, and we can even export it to the world and make something out of it. Your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are that good people in good times should be careful about certain bad precedents. We should not gloss over how this whole thing started, because it started with an illegality. For example, yes, the technology is working, but were they the only people who had that technology? If they were the only people who had it, why couldn't, for example, somebody officially say, we're going to do sole sourcing because of X, Y, and B? Why couldn't people go to the Public Procurement Authority for the necessary waivers so they do the right thing? And secondly, these findings are being disputed. And the other thing is that I don't know whether the prof has seen the full report, but I only saw the government's
white paper,
which means that it is possible that the full report contains information that we are not privy to. And we should also know that the government is not exactly impartial. We don't know why SML, of all the possible vendors, were picked. We don't know why the rules were flouted for them to do what they did. So one can hazard a guess respectfully that maybe even the president is not an independent arbiter. If we were to see the full report and find out who talked to who before we got to where we are. So respectfully to the professor, I think he makes a very good point that this is beneficial, but we cannot just say, oh, since good things are happening, let it continue. Then it means that even if we assume that those who made these mistakes erred with the best of motives, other people with bad motives will cite this president and do things in the future. Afraid of that.
I see. So from where you sit, with what you know as of now, do you suggest that we continue, as the white paper suggests, with the SML deal, with some portions renegotiated? From where you sit, what you know?
No, I don't think we should continue. I think that the public should see the full report. At the minimum, I think Parliament, as the people's voice, which should have been involved, should go back and hold hearings and decide how best to go forward consistent with our laws. And I also think that those who breach our laws ought to be punished. I am very passionate about this because this gives me uncomfortable echoes of how the Bank of Ghana, gave approval to unqualified banks and other entities to practice, and the public was left holding the bag. I think that these things ought to stop.
All right. Doc, hold for me. We'll be continuing on some other angles of a different conversation. But coming back to Prof, your final words, as far as this is concerned, you've made your point clear about, well, in some instances, you do realize that per the law, if ab initio, something is wrong, it is void ab initio because the right things were not done. It's an illegality. But you say, if we're getting the benefits, then we ought to continue. What then do you think should be the way forward?
Well, thank you very much, Benjamin, once again. As the president said in his recommendation, the party should sit down and obviously look at the terms and conditions and renegotiate.
Okay.
For me, that is a good start. Please let me correct them. Maybe I've given the impression that if something is wrong, it should still continue. No, I never said that. All I'm saying is, let's see the good side of the product. What can we do to benefit Ghana? Rather than putting it on the shelf now, what can we do? Because obviously, KPMG saw some value. The question is the quantum of the value.
Right.
Yes, they saw some value, and KPMG will not risk its reputation by basically coming out and saying that, yes, there's some value here. Good old Benjamin, if there was data available, believe you me, we will not be in the crisis that we are in. Our planning doesn't have the right data at the right time.
Right.
And this is what we need as a country. And if we manage, as a 32 million people, we've come up with a product, let's be proud of it and really go out there and sell it to generate income from the country. Now, in terms of the procurement, We have Act 663. We all know a lot of the challenges with Act 663. Is it fair? And my last food for thought, is it fair for somebody to come up with an innovative product, go to government and say, I'm going to risk everything that I have to basically try, you give me a try. And then when that thing is successful, we say, oh, okay, let's put it to tender. Is that right? Do they do that in the US? Do they do that in Europe? Even in Europe, you can't go even and find an asset. I know what happened on Harrods. The race card is played. But in our case, we open up everything for everybody to come and take it. We do not benefit. Privatization, have we benefited from it? No. I believe we need to start empowering our own. It's not about me. And like you said, and I keep repeating because I love that quote. Tomorrow is built on today. We are all responsible for doing something for the next generation. And unless these revenue leakages, we keep an open mind, it's going to continue. We cannot keep on doing the same thing and expecting a different result. It's about time that Ghana takes their own people serious when it comes to sometimes bold decisions. Yes, we can, but we have to be very, very careful in terms of the people that we choose to do this thing. Somebody will not go and risk tens of millions of dollars if they don't believe in the product. And it's about time that we believe in our own. I know what is happening on the ground. And one day I will come and meet you and I will share my experiences with the public and see how we can. I don't want to get on a plane and go to Europe because I can't get to Kuala Lumpur. When I saw that documentary by my joy, I felt very, very sad. We can change this thing. We've got everything. These revenue leakages. Why is it taking so long? Why?
And those are questions we've been asking. Prof, thank you so much for joining the conversation. And I will look forward to having an interaction with you physically so we can discuss some of these issues when you're available. Thank you so much for joining the discussion.
Thank you very much. And have a blessed weekend. Well done and keep up the good work. Thank you.
I wish you the same. That is Professor Douglas Boateng. He's a value chain governance expert at the University of Mines and Technology.